Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing about the protest that has started in Manipur amid the formation of the new government of Manipur. However, during this protest, even though this protest is testing the fragile peace of Manipur, yet it is seen that the center, that means the central government, is not worried as such with respect to these protests. So let us understand why are these protests happening, what is the situation right now, and what are the reasons as to why the central government is not worried as such even though the protests are going on. So let's get started with the news. So the news is about, of course, the new popular government that has taken office in Manipur. That is, of course, the present situation in which the protest has started. Now, Manipur had been in the president rule. Now the government has come to office. However, during this time, the protests have started. Now, very interestingly, in this Manipur government, of course, there are leaders from the Kuki tribes as well. So these Kuki MLAs that are there, they attended the floor test virtually. Now, what is this floor test? Of course, the floor test is basically a voting in order to understand whether the government has confidence or not. So these Kuki MLAs, they did join the floor test. However, they joined it only virtually. So they did take a part, but again, physically they remain away from this. Now, during this entire thing that is happening, protests as well as sporadic violence. Sporadic means spread, scattered, small amount of violences had taken place and protest has taken place where in the Kuki dominated hill districts, and it has been taken place by the Kuki tribe in the Kuki dominated districts. At the same time, who are the ones who are protesting? Are these the MLAs? No. Are these the militants? No. These are the civil groups that are protesting, and these civil societies have issued warning against cooperation with the new government. That means they have warned the Kuki MLAs also to not cooperate with the new government that is. Right. So this is what the news is all about. Now the question is, what are the reasons for the protest? Now the Kuki group is demanding written assurance from the center, but the center has not given any written assurance whatsoever. Now, what is this written assurance all about? It is that they are demanding written assurance with respect to separate administration of the hill areas where they reside. So they want the hilly areas to be administered separately, and they want a written assurance for the same. But as I mentioned, no written assurance has been provided. And even though the civil society is protesting of the Kuki tribe, yet the Kuki MLAs have joined the government. So I hope that's clear that the MLAs have joined, it's the civil society, but that is still protesting. Now, if you look at the key stakeholders in this entire event, you have first the Kuki MLAs, as I mentioned, they have joined the government despite earlier stance of not participating. Then you have the Kuki-Zo Council. They are vocal in protest. This is the civil society council which is vocal in their protest. Then you have the Kuki Students Organization, again, who have criticized the MLAs. Then you have the Kuki National Organization. Now this KNO and this UPF, United People's Front, these both of them are militant umbrella organization. Now this organization is in talks with center, and this particular organization is under the SOO agreement, right? So basically suspension, this SOO is suspension of operation agreement. That means right now there is a peace that these militants are not going to do any operation or any kind of activity as such. So one of them is in talks with the center and the other is in suspension of operation agreement. So the militant groups as such are not a part of the protest is what you can see over here. And then you have the Ministry of Home Affairs, which is of course handling the negotiation and the security assessment. Negotiation with whom? Negotiation, for example, the talk is going on over here, and with the civil society representatives also. Every now and then the talk has kept on happening, but right now the civil society is protesting. Now, what is the role of KNO and UPFC? These two are militant organizations capable of taking aggressive actions as well. However, as we have seen, one of them is under the suspension of operation agreement with the government of India. That means they have promised, they are in the agreement with India that they will not take any aggressive actions, and at the same time currently engaged in the political dialogue with the government of India. So, and these two organizations also gave green signal to the Kuki MLAs to join the government. Now probably it gets clear as to why the central government is actually not worried, but we'll come to that in detail. Now, why the choice of the deputy CM also matters. Now, Nemcha Kipgen is basically the deputy CM of Manipur. Now, she represents the Kangpokpi region. Now, this region that is there is considered to be a major hotspot of this ethnic violence or this ethnic conflict that is going on. This area controls a key highway linking what? The valley to the mainland India. So this region is also quite important because it helps in the supply chain management. If it is blocked, the supply can stop because it is connecting the valley region with the mainland region. And there has been past blockades and disruptions which has basically disrupted the transfer of goods and security forces, right? But this over here, since you are having, whenever you have a concept of deputy CM, you can see that there is sort of a power sharing that is going on, and that can be seen with the choice of the deputy CM, and also the fact that deputy CM post is there as such, because deputy CM post as such need not be there. It happens when there is a coalition government or when you want to give power to someone else also. So that is what power sharing is all about. Now let us see why the center is actually not worried. So we will see the center's assessment in order to understand the nature as to why they are not worried. Now, center views this particular protest as simply an accepted and expected reaction. They also say that it is limited in scale. Also, we have seen both the militant groups are not involved, so it is not backed by the armed groups formally, and it is simply seen as a part of political bargaining chip. That means you are protesting so that you can get certain additional things from the government of India. Additional means you can leverage it to meet some of your demands, is what is being understood. The Kuki militant leadership is still in dialogue or under the SOO agreement, which is still operative over here, right? Now, so this is clear. These are the reasons why the central government is not worried as such. Now, if we want to still look at the demand for the separate administration, so what is the demand is that this is the state of Manipur. Now, this is the Kuki land that is demanded, the hilly region which is demanded as the Kuki land. So, what the Kuki-Zo groups demand? They want separate administration for the hill districts. Now, what is the stand of the government of India? The government of India says that the dialogue is open. The dialogue for all this, the demands and what needs to be done, how the peace can be restored permanently in Manipur, the dialogue for that is open. However, what is not certain is the fact that whether this will be provided or not. So we cannot give any written assurance as such that it will be provided. So there is the center's position is that dialogue is open, but no deadlines for territorial integrity of Manipur. No deadlines for the demand to be met, and the territorial integrity of Manipur is non-negotiable. That means breakage of Manipur will not be accepted. It is non-negotiable. Breakage as in it is not going to have a separate state or anything like that, but even the separate administration is going to break, and the territorial integrity will break, and that will not be allowed to happen. That is one thing which they say is non-negotiable. The center also believes that the SOO agreement that is in place, it itself basically commits groups to respect the state boundaries. That means they are saying that according to SOO group itself, these boundaries that are there needs to be respected, right? That means the rights of the people are restored, are given anyhow within the SEO agreement, and violence is basically should be curbed or completely stopped because SOO agreement is in place. Now, because of all these reasons, the center is not worried as such, and you can clearly see one of the biggest reasons, the fact that the militant organizations as such has not participated in the protests. So hopefully in the coming years things can become even better and we can establish permanent peace in Manipur. Thank you.